guys and girls, and welcome to my very first Doctor Who Retrospective episodes. For that show, it won't be an episode critic, basically. It's just me talking about the episodes and what I like about them, because I love the show. It's my favourite TV series, and I enjoy talking about it. So the first episode we're going to take a look at is Rose. That's written by Russell T Davies and starring Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper as the Ninth Doctor and Rose Tyler. And I think that episode is a good choice to start off my new show. So yeah, it's the first episode of Series 1, which came out 2005, and that brought back Doctor Who as a series after it hasn't been on for 16 years, except we have the 1996 TV movie. The way Russell brought back the show, he absolutely nailed it. Instead of having 4, 6, 7, 8-parters and 25 minutes each, we have one part episode and 45 minutes each episode. Although some episodes do have like 2-parters, which I think it's needed as well. So we have the new Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, instead of bringing Paul McGann to reprise the role for his regeneration scene. It's because Davies likely didn't approach McGann because he felt the 2005 show should feel like a fresh start. And indeed it is. Although he does apparently enjoy the TV movie, the Ninth Doctor was suffering the effects of the Time War, but that was never part of the 1963 to 1989 or 1996 programme. So at the time, our theory was the event of the Time War is for the reason for the 8th Doctor to regenerate. So yeah, we never saw what happened until Day of the Doctor. And I think it's fair enough. It's nice to start a show with a breath of fresh air. And I think Chris is great as the Doctor. Billie Piper as Rose is fantastic and she's my favourite companion. Julia Gardner, the executive producer, she describes Rose, a unique dynamic partner for Christopher Eccleston. I like the chemistry between her and Chris in the series. The episode has the brilliant opening from space down to Earth, and we introduced to Rose. We learn that she has a mum, Jackie Tyler, played by Camille Cajuri, which is amazing casting because you could see the resemblance, which members of the production team noticed. We also have Mickey Smith, Rose's boyfriend, played by Noel Clarke, which he did a good job playing a dopey boyfriend who's clumsy but later became a bravery hero and a genius. I liked him as a recurring character. In the episode, while Rose is working in the shop, she went underground floor to give her boss Wilson a lottery money. We see the return of the Autons, the shop window dummies, come to life, with all their fingers down and there is a gun in their hand. And they're scary, and I think it's a wise choice to bring a classic monster Autons for the first New Who episode. The Doctor's first word is run, and also later on in the episode when he made a speech about Return of the Earth and that he can feel it, he'd be like, that guy is the Doctor.
Clinging to the skin of this tiny little world if we let go.
The plastic arm is kind of threatening as well. I wonder what was Rose thinking when she sees the Doctor getting strangled by a plastic arm and he was like, ah! This character Clive, who tells Rose the dangerous story about the Doctor, according to the website, Clive was only 2 when his dad got exterminated by the Imperial Daleks during the events of Remembrance of the Daleks. When Mickey was getting eaten by a plastic wheelie bin, I thought that was hilarious, especially when that bin burps. And Nestine can control anything made of plastic. The plastic Mickey craving for pizza time just like Peter Parker.
Pizza time.
And yeah, the series came out a year after Spider-Man 2. I like it when Plastic Mickey was trying to be sexy, the way he goes, babe, babe, sugar, sweetheart. But then when his hand changed and the Doctor pulls his head off, he's really scary. Imagine meeting that thing in real life. Whoa. First shot of TARDIS interior was great. It's actually my favourite TARDIS interior.
The inside's bigger than the outside?
Yes?
Salient.
Yeah.
And I like the Ninth Doctor's catchphrase, fantastic.
Oh. Fantastic.
The nesting consciousness does look like a lasagna with a face. When the Doctor mentioned a good planet, lots of smoke and oil and plenty of toxins and dioxins in the air, just what the nesting consciousness need. Its food stock was destroyed in the war, all its protein plants rotted, so Earth, dinner. That made me hungry every time, craving for oily evening meal. It's nice to see Mickey alive. Auton's invasion is a blast to watch. When Rose ran off from Mickey into the TARDIS after the Doctor says it travels in time, I like the fact they put the closing theme for that scene because it brings the excitement for everyone to watch the next episode on the next week. The music by Murray Gould is brilliant, my favourite Doctor Who music composer. It suits the franchise a lot more and it's so memorable. I think the series is an updated version of Doctor Who because of Rose and all the 21st century stuff. Before it came back, everyone thought it was never going to work, but then when the credits rolled, you get goosebumps. Ugh. So yeah, I really liked Rose. I think it's such a great start. The series is a great run for the family to enjoy. Feel free to add comments below to tell me what you think of Rose, as I always love talking to Doctor Who fans about the show.
I'll tell you what it will be. I'll tell you what it will be. The trip of a lifetime.
Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy Retrospective video and hopefully it goes well. And I'll happily to do next episode, The End of the World. Doctor Who The End of the World, the second episode of Series 1, is written by Russell T Davies and starring Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper as the Doctor and Rose. So yeah, in this video I'm just discussing about the episodes, what I like about it, as I love Doctor Who. It's my favourite series of all time and I enjoy talking about it. This episode is like a spectacle to show off how much Doctor Who can do so it could predict the future. I like the design of Platform 1, I think it's really cool. Apparently it's based on the restaurant at the end of the universe by Douglas Adams, which is interesting. The story is obviously set in future. They've got loads of cool different characters, which I don't think Classic could have done because of the budget. We got characters like 3 of Forest of Cheems, Jabe, Lute and Coffer. We also have the Moxa Balhoun, Face of Bow, Ed Heritance of the Repeated Meme, and Lady Cassandra, who looks like a flattened cat with a lipstick. And with the iconic quote, "Moisturise me." Blimey, if I said that, I think someone might spray bleach at me, because that's what it looks like they're doing to Cassandra.
Moisturise me, moisturise me.
The metal spiders were kind of creepy. Billy Piper did well performed as the character to show the emotion of the destruction of the Earth. It really shows how valuable a part of the Series 1 is. It's nice the Doctor sorted Rose's phone out when he mentioned he came first in Jiggery Pokery, because she can phone home anytime she likes. When Rose says, "I'm fine, top of the world," that's a great gag. I also find it iconic when they played the pop music Tainted Love by Soft Cell and Toxic by Britney Spears.
Refreshments will now be served.
Looking back, it's so 2005 and I love that. When it comes to like movies or TV shows, games and music, 2000s is my favourite era. In the scene when the Doctor is with Jabe, you can see the tear of the Doctor when she mentions where he's from, and I think that's very emotional.
I just wanted to say how sorry I am.
And to everyone who hasn't seen the classic episodes but has watched the modern series, we learned the Doctor's backstory in that he's the Time Lord, the last of them, and because of the last Great Time War. It's also intense when the shields on Platform 1 is down and everyone is about to die. Jabe's death is really sad. I don't know how the Doctor managed to get through the speedy fan, that could have sliced him.
Critical.
But thankfully he saved the platform and sadly some of the characters have died, like Stuart and Moxa Balhoun. The moment where Cassandra exploded, we see like for 1 or 2 seconds.
I'm too young.
Yeah, that was really gross. I think it's a bit gory there. I hope it doesn't make the children feel sick and traumatized watching that. Funny thing is, Cassandra is voiced by Zoe Wanamaker, who played Madame Hooch in Harry Potter. And if you look in the background, you could see a Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone book. The ending made me wanting to get some portion of chips, now that Rose mentioned it. And damn right, we only got 5 billion years before the shop to be closed. So yeah, I think it's a great episode, very depressing when it's about the end of the Earth. And I'd love to hear what you guys think of the episode. Just tell me about it on the comments below. Doctor Who The Unquiet Dead, the third episode of Series 1, is written by Mark Gatiss and starring Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper as the Doctor and Rose. So they decide to explore the past, and first time you see the TARDIS in New Who series landing in the wrong place and time. Russell T Davies felt it's important to have it set in Cardiff, which is where the modern series is produced. Mark Gatiss, the writer of this episode, was a fan of the Christmas Carol, written by Charles Dickens. That's influenced the Christmas setting of this episode, which is really nice. This episode features Charles Dickens, played by Simon Cowell, which I think he did a fantastic job. And if anyone wants to make a movie or TV with Charles Dickens in, they've got to bring Simon Cowell to do it. And I can tell Mark Gatiss knows what he's doing. In the beginning scene where Mr. Redpath got strangled by his grandmother after she woke up from the dead, my god, that was brutal. And scary. I love the way Gelf Zombie is walking towards the camera with a glowing blue face and a creepy noise before the title sequence played. That was well done. It's nice for the Doctor to show Rose the past, especially on Christmas time, and I always love the banter between the Doctor and Rose. Plus, I think Christmas in Victorian times is a perfect fit-in. It's so strange looking back at Eve Miles in this episode, as she later appeared in Torchwood as Gwen Cooper. And I think she did a great job playing both of those characters. Charles made a great speech when he's telling us the story about the Christmas Carol. Makes us wish that we have a time machine to go to Victorian times and to be there in the theatre to see Charles Dickens reading Christmas Carol to us. Alan David, who played Mr. Sneed, is the character you'd love to hate until towards the end of the episode, well, before when he dies. He did well performed. I can't believe he drugged Rose and abducted her. That's dude, what are you doing? I like how Charles say, what the Dickens and what the Shakespeare, using them to replace the swear words. The CGI effects of Gelf for me has aged really well.
Pity the Gelf. There is so little time, help us.
What do you want us to do?
The rift.
Must be so awkward for Rose when she was having a conversation with Gwyneth in making her life better and finds someone and she's like, you're kind of strange. It's a funny world. That's also where we first heard of the bad wolf thing. When the Doctor mentions the Gelf going into those corpses and Rose is like, you can't, we should respect them, which I can understand her frustration. The Doctor can also make mistakes as he realised he shouldn't have trusted the Gelf because, well, they're wanting to take over the world. Thanks to old Charlie Boy, who turns off all the candle lights, he stops the Gelf, and it's really sad when Gwyneth sacrificed herself to destroy the house full of corpses in Gelf, and she closed the rift. I like Charles's laugh after when the Doctor and Rose left. Just think it made a great ending for this episode. Christopher Eccleston, like I said, is a fantastic Doctor, and yeah, I used his catchphrase to describe him. Fantastic. So yeah, the Unquiet Dead, a spooky episode. I enjoyed it. I'm curious what you guys think of the episode. Feel free to add your thoughts of the episode on the comments below. Doctor Who, The Aliens of London, the fourth episode of Series 1, is written by Russell T Davies and starring Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper. For this episode, Russell was inspired by Quantumus and the Pit for the Slitheen invading 10 Downing Street.
Don't panic! Wait! Pull yourselves together!
And was inspired by the music video of Girls Aloud Jump, which sounds interesting. So what happens is the Doctor got the flight wrong and thought he landed 12 hours after the events of Rose, where the Auton attacks, but instead he landed 12 months, which is a year.
It's not 12 hours, it's 12 months. You've been gone a whole year. Sorry.
Obviously, Jackie looked at Rose when she walked in like she's seen a ghost. While the kids graffitied the TARDIS written Bad Wolf, Jackie is really mad at Rose and especially the Doctor, and not to mention when she slapped him. This is exactly how a sane mother would react if her teenage daughter ran off with a much older man.
Stitch this, mate.
Which is what I loved about Russell T Davies' era. It's so relatable and appealed to a wider audience. And poor Mickey, who wasn't having a good year because everyone thought he killed Rose. He gets arrested for interview 5 times, and he does get a lot of hate letters as well. Think what would it be like in nowadays if that was on Facebook, to see how many hate comments and angry reactions to it. The alien spaceship crashing into Big Ben is so iconic. I really love the Slitheen theme by Murray Gold. That's another iconic thing. We thought the alien spaceship came down to Earth, but it turns out it was a space pig, a decoy which apparently the Slitheen turned a real pig into a fake alien. It was so sad to see Space Pig getting shot after when it was scared. I remember back when I was at school at the age of 11, during in free time when we watched that episode, in that scene where Space Pig got shot, yeah, there was a teacher behind me going, "Oh, yeah, very sad." They also laughed at the scene where Mickey tried to get into the TARDIS while it was dematerializing, and Mickey ran into a wall and fell on the floor. That was really funny. Tosh makes an appearance in the episode played by Narak Mori, which she later reprised in a role in Torchwood, and I think she's great. We also have Harriet Jones, played by Penelope Wilton, and I love that character. I think she's great too when she shows her past to introduce herself, saying Harriet Jones, MP Flydale North, then Prime Minister, which became iconic. I find the Doctor and Mickey arguing at each other entertaining. When Jackie sees the TARDIS, that's how she explores the alien in powerless state outside of her block of flats. We also get the return of the unit, which the Doctor used to work for them back in the 1970s. I love the Doctor and Rose's banter when they escorted to Downing Street. During this episode, the production team suggested the assassination of Prime Minister. In the scene where the body fell out of the cupboard, was supposed to be Tony Blair's impersonator, but they decide to scrap that. I really like the Slitheen, I wish they'd come back. The farting alien is like, why not? Plus the cockroaches fart, I think.
I'm shaking my booty.
The zips around their head is something you have to watch out for, as they obviously the Slitheen. The actors who played them is well performed, especially Anit Badland as Margaret Blaine, also known as Blonfell Fudge. I love the design of Slitheen. Their face looks so alien, which is what we needed. We get the cliffhanger where the Doctor gets electrocuted. Slitheen strangling Indra against the wall in front of Rose and Harriet, and Jackie is about to get killed by a Slitheen in her kitchen. So yeah, it's the first 2-parter episode in the new series, and I think it's wise to have a cliffhanger to make it intense and show what the show is known for. I love Christopher Eccleston's performance, where he smiled after Slitheen's spaceship crashed when he's like, "Nope."
Did you know this was going to happen?
Nope.
Do you recognise the ship?
Nope.
Do you know why it crashed?
Nope.
And one of my favourite lines is,
Excuse me, do you mind not farting while I'm saving the world?
That is brilliant. I really love that episode. The characters are fun, it's very colourful and vibrant and energetic. And do you mind not farting while I'm talking about the episode? So yeah guys, I'd love to hear what you think of the episode, so drop that down into the comments below, and I'm more than happy to talk about the second parter, World War III. Doctor Who World War III, the 5th episode of Series 1, is written by Russell T Davies and starring Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper. It's the second of a two-part story which began with Aliens of London. Apparently the episode was originally going to be called Aliens of London Part 2, but then changed it into World War III, so all multi-episode stories in the modern series have continued to have individual titles, except The End of Time and Spyfall. The episode began with all Slitheen getting electrocuted, which is how the characters got themselves out of this. The moment when the Doctor realised that it would never work without proof, telling the SWAT team that Prime Minister is the Slitheen. And that did not work out really well for him. I love the Doctor's line when he advised them not to stand them against the lift. I liked the narrows it down bit. I can tell the actors had a blast filming that scene. They seem to less with the farts. I think it's because a lot of people didn't like the idea of farting alien. But for me, it's something to laugh at, and my friends back in school, we used to laugh every time we hear the sound of farts. Gassed humour is an age-old source of amusement. How Slitheen fits in a human skin is the device around their neck. It shrinks them down a bit, which is why they fart. I love the fact the Doctor bursts into a room spraying Slitheen with a fire extinguisher while rescuing Rose and Harriet. That's pretty cool.
Who the hell are you?
Harriet Jones, Emily for Flydale North.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
I find it hilarious in the scene where the Doctor is fooling Slitheen that he can make the alcohol drink flammability. That is well written and performing. I've also noticed Mickey has got a drawing of the TARDIS on his computer monitor. And oh, speaking of Mickey, he went from clumsy and pathetic into a brave hero and a genius. Especially when he's ready to hit a Slitheen with a baseball bat, fearless.
I'll take it on, Jackie. You just run. Don't look back.
We then discovered the Slitheen's weakness is vinegar because they are made of calcium, and vinegar is acetic acid, which is how it kills them. Must be gross getting covered in Slitheen's remains. Ugh. Also, Mickey is much more clever than we expected because he can hack into computers. He managed to fire a missile at 10 Downing Street to destroy the army of Slitheen, except Margaret survived and escaped. The Doctor and Harriet and Rose took cover and made it out of there. In the bits where Jackie kept asking the Doctor, is Rose safe? But he can't answer because he thinks he might lose Rose after saving the Earth.
I could save the world but lose you.
And that emotion handed well. In the end, Jackie was planning to cook shepherd's pie and decided to invite the Doctor, but he didn't want to, so instead Rose went travelling with the Doctor again. So yeah, I enjoyed the second part, it's a great one, and of course add comments if you'd like to tell me what you think of the episode, because I'd love to hear what you think. Doctor Who Dalek, the 6th episode of Series 1, is written by Robert Shearman and starring Christopher Eccleston and Billie Piper. So it's the episode where they return the Doctor's oldest enemy and the most iconic monster of Doctor Who, the Daleks, with their famous catchphrase, exterminate. Although we have only one Dalek in this episode. So yeah, it was the only episode that Robert Shearman has written. Sadly he didn't do more. I wish he did. But he did the audio episode, The Jubilee, which I haven't listened to. But I heard it's great.
You are my prisoner.
Sleep tight. Take care of the Daleks, don't bite.
So yeah, the Doctor and Rose land in Van Statten's museum in 2012, which is the Olympic times. They have a lot of alien stuff. They've got Milometer from Roswell's spaceship, chunks of meteorite, Slitheen's arm, and the head of Cyberman, which that version is from Revenge of the Cybermen. The vacuum looking design. So we have the museum boss called Henry Van Statten, played by Corey Johnson. He's done a great job playing the boss that you'd hate, especially with the memory wipe for anyone who's sacked from the job, which is very dangerous stuff. I can tell everyone didn't actually find it funny when Van Statten says, "Intruder window, that was funny." I think Anna-Louise Plowman, who played Diana Goddard, is great as well. I really like that rock when you stroke it gently and it makes a music sound.
Dalek.
I wish I have one. When Van Statten takes the Doctor to show him an alien being that he called Metaltron, which turns out to be a lone Dalek wrapped in chains.
Exterminate!
That's actually well revealing, especially for those who has never watched the classic era. It's like they were created of the Daleks' first story, which is the Daleks back in 1963. Last time we saw Daleks on screen, it was Remembrance of the Daleks, so 17 years. Christopher Eccleston's portrayal as the Doctor, the way he shouts at the Dalek in the cage and in the scene where he was talking to the Dalek on screen, when he's like,
Why don't you just die?
You would make a good Dalek.
that was pretty badass. I like Bruno Langley as Adam Mitchell. I thought he was great. He's the character that buys catalogues and artifacts for Van Statten. And every time when you mention Pepper Potts, I keep thinking of Gwyneth Paltrow's character in Iron Man, where she played Pepper Potts, which is Tony Stark's wife. Poor Doctor that was topless and gets tortured to give Van Statten the information. Rose has pitied a Dalek as she doesn't know what the Dalek is. And to her, the Dalek seems very lonely and sad, but she touched it and came alive and revealed itself. And I love the music for that scene by Murray Gould. The Dalek is well updated compared to the classic era.
The Daleks survive in me.
The extermination scene is pretty neat with the effects. It has similar to Remembrance of the Daleks with the skeletons showing up, and the 60s and 70s where the entire screen turns like blue and white, which is cool. In the bit where the Dalek managed to hover up the stairs, apparently that's not the first time you see the Daleks do that. Oh no. There was a scene in Remembrance of the Dalek where the Imperial Dalek managed to hover up the stairs in the cellar.
You are the Doctor. You are the enemy of the Dalek.
And in the Daleks' Invasion of Earth, back in William Hartnell's era, there was a scene where the Dalek hovered itself out of the London Thames. So there's no escape from the Daleks. The shooting scene is a blast to watch. The moments where the Dalek couldn't kill Rose because she gave the Dalek an emotion and all it wants is a sunlight. And I can understand why the Doctor wanted to destroy the Dalek, because they're the ones that create the Time War and causes the extinction of the Time Lords and destroyed Gallifrey.
I've got to do this. I've got to end it. The Daleks destroyed my home, my people. I've got nothing left.
The Daleks showing emotion, getting tortured and committing suicide. I think that's the time where we feel sorry for a Dalek, which I'm not sure if that's right.
Midnight.
So yeah, in the end, Van Statten gets memory wiped because of the death of his staff that was done by a Dalek. And Adam Mitchell decides to travel with the Doctor and Rose because he wants to see the stars. And I think this episode is a great start for 21st century Dalek appearances. I'd love to hear what you guys think of the episode. Drop it down in the comments below as always. Who, The Long Game, the 7th episode of Series 1, is written by Russell T Davies, starring Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper and Bruno Langley. So Russell T Davies said that he set out to write this episode from Adam's perspective, originally watching the adventure unfolding from his point of view, exactly as Rose did in Rose, and seeing both the Doctor and Rose as enigmatic, frightening characters. He even gave this outline a working title, Adam. Another working title for the story was The Companion Who Couldn't, according to Davies. The conception of The Long Game was originally written in the early 1980s and submitted to the Doctor Who production office, according to Wikipedia. So yeah, the story, the Doctor, Rose and Adam lands in a spaceship above the Earth, Satellite 5, which is a nice looking place, like the cafe where the chef serves food like Kronk burgers. Blimey, Russell is so keen to make us hungry.
Kronk burger with cheese, Kronk burger with vagina.
As this scene makes me craving for burger or hot dog from those burger van. Poor Adam that he fainted when he looked at the Earth, as they have landed in the 200,000 years in the future. We also have Simon Pegg as the editor, and I think he's a great villain. Plus Simon grew up with the show and he really enjoyed playing the villain. I like the way he keeps flicking into different screens and was like, "Liar!" Christine Adams as Kathika is actually a great journalist. It's so freaky when she clicks and her head opens when you see her brain, and when she goes 3, 2, 1 and spike, and the laser beam just goes inside her brain, which is a processor.
She becomes part of the software. Her brain is the computer.
As for those people sitting around, they connected with little chips in their heads, which they transmitted 600 channels. Blimey, I feel like the Doctor. I also liked Anna Maxwell Martin, who played Suki Cantrell, which turns out her name is Eva St. Julien. I thought she was great as well. Eva was the last member of the Freedom Foundation, militant anarchists, and was to prove that Satellite 5 has been manipulated when she goes by the name as Suki and pretended to be the journalist. Plus she seems like that she has a crush on the Doctor, the way she smiled at him before Kathika opens her head, and before when she went to the lift and calling the Doctor her lucky charm. Adam in this episode just feels sick and freaked out, so he takes Rose's phone and tried to phone his mum, but end up sending it to voicemail. He had his head done where he can open it and get himself spiked, which of course that leads the Doctor throwing him out of his TARDIS, sending him back home because he almost changed the history, which is why the Doctor destroyed the telephone.
Don't do what?
Stop it!
All right now, Doctor, that's enough. Stop it.
Thank you.
Oi! Sorry, I couldn't resist.
Apparently everyone thought floor 500 is the walls that's made of gold, but it turns out it wasn't. In the scene where Suki, or Eva, I'm just going to call her Suki, as that's what everyone calls her. But anyway, when Suki reaches out something on floor 500, there was a head of a corpse appeared on the screen while the music played as Suki looks around to see other corpses sitting around the table in a dark snowy room. That was really terrifying. I can imagine it would have spooked the children out. When I saw that at the age of 7, I was like, whoa. It reminded me of the guy froze to death in the Scrooge movie, the one with Bill Murray. That's really scary. We also have the mighty Jagrafest, the scary creature on the ceiling, looking like something you'd see in horror movies and shows like Supernatural. I thought he was cool and scary looking thing. The creature is known as the mighty Jagrafest of the Holy Hadrojasic Max Rodinfo, but editor called him Max for short, but he had to stay cool, which is why it was so hot in the other floors. Even Suki dies, there was part of her still alive when she allows Kathika to override the safety, and she decides to grab the editor by the ankle to stop him from escaping, which they both died after when the Jagrafest exploded. Plus Plus the Doctor, Rose and Kathika survived, and obviously in the end when Adam is back home, his mum discovered the brain in his head thing when it opens, and she freaks out. I wonder what his mum would be like after that moment of time. Plus I heard in another Doctor Who media that Adam wanted to get revenge on the Doctor for banishing him from the TARDIS. Also, Christopher Eccleston did a video for the quiz of that episode, and if we won, we get to visit the set of Doctor Who.
I'm Christopher Eccleston, and I hope you're paying close attention, because after each episode we'll be asking you something about the programme, and if you get the right answer, you could win a trip for two to the UK to visit the set of Doctor Who. Doctor Who will return in a moment.
Man, I wish I could go back and win that prize. So yeah, I really liked that episode. I like the villains, scary scenes, that's like a horror movie, and the interior of Satellite 5 with a cafe, and also Murray Gold's music with the tension building and also the jump scare thing. Tell me what you think of this episode by dropping it down on the comments below, as always. Doctor Who Father's Day, the 8th episode of Series 1, is written by Paul Cornell and starring Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper. So Russell T Davies and the producer Phil Collinson, they came up with this idea like a great time travel story with emotions and showing why Rose is a good companion. This episode is actually Billy Piper's favourite episode, which I can see why. So we have Peter Tyler, Rose's dad, played by Sean Dingwall. And I think he did well perform there, because he has a resemblance to Rose. I don't know how they did it with the casting, but they did it. Apparently when Rose mentioned that her dad was born in 15th of September 1957, the actor in real life was actually born 24th of March 1970 to play a younger version of Rose. She also played the younger version of Billy Piper's character in Mansfield Park 2007 movie, which is really cool. Plus it's like if they get James McAvoy to play a younger version of Picard. So the Doctor and Rose lands in London 1987 to meet her dad. When he got knocked over by a car and sadly died when the ambulance got there, but when they went back to that moment of time, Rose decides to run and save Dad.
Rose, no!
Which changed the history of Timeline, and the Doctor wasn't happy about it.
I did it again. I picked another stupid ape. I should have known. It's not about showing you the universe. It never is. It's about the universe doing something for you.
Apparently Christopher Eccleston found it very emotional because during that time of filming, Chris's dad had cancer, so they had to hold filming so Chris can go and see his dad to care for him, which is really understandable. I'd definitely do the same if I was in his position and if it happened to my dad. In the scene where the Doctor and Rose were arguing about the change of history, thanks to Rose, originally in the script it was going to have Rose's plan all along to save her dad, but Billy felt it didn't occur to Rose until after she began travelling with the Doctor. In the scene where the Doctor opened the TARDIS door and it was just a police box with jump scare.
Rose!
That is well done, which is improved over the original script according to the writers when it was originally going to have the TARDIS falling apart, but they've changed it because of the costs. The episode handled really well when there's like a timeline error, when it was like messed up. Especially when the car radio played Don't Mug Yourself by the Streets, which came out 2002. And well, they're in 1987.
Put your phone back, quit staring into space and eat your snack, that's that. She'll want you much more for not hanging on. Stop me if I'm wrong.
We also get the phone that was behaving strangely with the Watson, come here, I need you, with the Alexander Graham Bell's voice, which is the guy who invented the telephone.
Watson, come here, I need you.
The moment when Jackie and Peter was arguing, they seem to hate each other. We also have young Mickey, and that's where we find out that he's a few years older than Rose.
Get in the church!
As for the Reapers, I really love those monsters. They're absolutely terrifying.
Get in the church!
Plus this episode, Father's Day, is the very first episode of Doctor Who that I've watched in my life. I was only 6 or 7 when I first watched it, and that my mum tells me about the show, and it's about the alien called the Doctor, and they meet loads of monsters, so I'm like, I like the sound of that, I'll give that a watch. And as I did, and as I loved the scary stuff when I was a kid, like a television movie or movies that you see on Sci-Fi Channel when it's about monsters and we have people running away from it and having to survive, and I love stuff like that, which is what got me into it. And when I watched it, I absolutely loved it, and I became the fan of the show ever since. I found Reapers terrifying, which I really liked, and love the red eyesight. It shows how scary they are, and I think the effects holds up very well for 2005. The moment when Peter realised that he's met the older version of Rose has performed really well.
You're my Rose. You're Rose grown up.
The acting is so good. In the scene where Rose was holding the baby, which one of the Reaper appeared inside the church and devoured the Doctor.
I'm the oldest thing in here.
Apparently Billy Piper was really scared of holding the baby. I can understand why Rose had to lie to show her dad that he's the best man ever happened to her. When he realises what's going on, he had to... When he realises what's going on, he had to make things right by getting himself killed and fix the wound in time. Which made the Reapers disappeared and brings everyone who got devoured back to life, including the Doctor. And that's such a sad scene with the death of Peter Tyler. I love Murray Gold's music throughout this episode. I think it fits in perfectly with the scary moments and sad moments. So yeah, everyone forgot about the events of Reapers, and after the timelines are fixed, and the Doctor forgives Rose, and they both went back to the TARDIS. So yeah, I really love that episode. I'm so glad it's the first one I've ever watched, because straight away it showed me what it's about. So, what do you guys think of this episode? Write it down on the comments below. Doctor Who The Empty Child, the 9th episode of Series 1, is written by Stephen Moffat and starring Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper and John Barrowman. So originally the episode was going to be called World War II, but then early versions of this script quoted this episode's title as An Empty Child, which would be a reference to An Unearthly Child, the very first Doctor Who episode. But they changed it into The Empty Child. Apparently Captain Jack's name was going to be called Captain Jax, but the idea was dropped and changed it into Jack. This is the first Stephen Moffat's episode written, apart from the parody Doctor Who The Curse of the Fatal Death, one with Rowan Atkinson.
Say hello to the sofa of reasonable comfort.
The opening scene with the Doctor and Rose in the TARDIS chasing that cylinder object through the vortex is fantastic. The Doctor and Rose landed in London during World War II in the middle of London Blitz. While the Doctor goes into a nightclub and goes on stage to speak to everyone by the microphone.
Excuse me. Can I have everybody's attention just for a mo? Be very quick. Hello.
Rose sees a child on the roof wearing gas mask. The way he shouted, "Mummy." That scene is so freaky. While Rose decides to climb on the rope to try and help that kid, turns out she grabbed a rope of a barrage balloon. When I first watched it at the age of 6 or 7, I was like, whoa, it was so intense. We weren't sure if she was going to fall to her death. I love the bit when the Doctor picks up a cat and saying, one day he meets someone to do the don't wander off thing. When the TARDIS phone rang and the Doctor tried to answer, I think we were like, that's not something you'd see in Doctor Who, as the telephone is normally just sitting there.
How can you be ringing?
So we have Nancy, played by Florence Hoth, and I think she's great. When she came up to the doctor to tell him not to answer, and we're like, why not? Because the other side of the phone was the empty child, Jamie. That Nancy claimed it was her brother. The story was really sad when I heard the bomb fell on him or something. I like the moment where Rose meets Captain Jack, and yeah, that's the first episode we see Captain Jack Harkness.
Hello.
Hello.
John Barrowman is outstanding, and what can I say that hasn't been said already? I love the scene when Jack and Rose were on the plane tethered up to Big Ben and having a dance and a drink with the Glenn Miller's Moonlight Serenade music. This music is so catchy. It's like a Sunday dinner music. I heard Glenn Miller was missing in action during World War II, which is really sad. Speaking of Sunday dinner, when Nancy sets up the dinner for the children and the doctor decides to join in.
Are you a copper?
Of course I'm not a copper. What's a copper gonna do with you lot anyway? Arrest you for starving?
That was a great moment. I can tell Christopher Eccleston enjoyed his time in that scene. And of course we get the scary child at the door with everyone running away except the doctor. The child must be so powerful when he manages to control the radio, phones and even the monkey with the cymbals, like the one you see in Toy Story 3, by putting his voice into it. That's like a horror movie.
Please let me in, Mummy. I'm scared of the bombs.
When I first watched it, I was like, what's wrong with this kid? Where's his mum? And I felt sorry for the kid when he was just wanting to see his mum. But yeah, I understand the rest of it since then. When the doctor is like, it's not easy to leave one child outside in the cold when there's a war on, what's going on? But when the doctor opens the door and the child mysteriously disappears with a jump scare music, whoa. When Nancy tells the doctor that he should speak to Doctor, which she means Dr. Constantine, he decides to visit to hospital to get some information. I thought Richard Wilson as Dr. Constantine is incredible, he really is. We also explore that the child is not the only one who is a gas mask zombie. Oh no, because when the doctor examines the people lying in beds, they've all got the same injuries, but according to Constantine, there's not one injury. Plus, him and the doctor had something in common. They were a father and a grandfather, but not anymore, but they are still the doctors. The freakiest bit was when Dr. Constantine became a gas mask zombie, the way the effects look with part of the mask coming out of his mouth and appear on both of his eyes. That works really well for its time. It was funny when Jack meets the Doctor for the first time, he calls him Mr. Spock, the reference of Star Trek. But Rose was like, what am I supposed to say you are? And yous are time travellers. The moment when Captain Jack realises that the Doctor and Rose are not time agents, they realise that the human DNA is being rewritten by an idiot. We have the gas mask zombies waking up and going towards the Doctor, Rose and Captain Jack, calling for Mummy, while Jamie, the empty child, is going towards Nancy, asking if she was his mummy, and Nancy was like, Jamie, you're dead, which leads to cliffhanger.
Mommy.
Man, what an episode. So yeah, I love that episode. It's scary and it's great. What are your thoughts of this episode? Drop it down in the comments below. Doctor Who, The Doctor Dances, the 10th episode of Series 1 is written by Stephen Moffat, starring Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper and John Barrowman. When Stephen Moffat says this mistake on the DVD commentary for The Doctor Dances, but jokingly suggests that an ancestor of Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart. The nanogenes were going to be called nanites, but it was too similar to nanotechnological devices in Star Trek The Next Generation. So the second part of the empty child story, the Doctor decides to tell the gas mask zombies to go to their rooms, and they did, including Jamie, the empty child.
To your room!
Plus, could you imagine if they didn't. The Doctor would have hated it if that was his last words. Plus, this episode is Christopher Eccleston's favourite because he understands what Stephen Moffat was trying to do with the Doctor. I love the line when the Doctor says bananas are good. Captain Jack was really depressed when there was a weapons shop and they replaced it with the banana plants. When the Doctor switched Jack's hands from his sonic blaster to banana, he was like, "You had to do that, didn't you?" What a moment.
So from the groves of Villengard, thought it was appropriate.
There's really a banana grove in the heart of Villengard, and you did that.
Bananas are good.
When Nancy was trying to leave the house, but she was caught by the Lloyd family, but she blackmailed Mr. Lloyd to give her the torch, wire cutters and some food for the children. Otherwise she would expose him that it was him who had an affair with the butcher, not his wife, when everyone thought it was Mrs. Lloyd. She tried to discover what killed Jamie, understandably, but the soldiers were having none of it and got her to sit with the guy who was infected by a gas mask zombie. In the scene with the tape recorder, it was like a horror movie. The moment it stops, but you can still hear a child's voice, and then he was right there with the jump scare.
This is its room.
Are you my mummy?
That was really scary. He somehow managed to break through the wall while the Doctor, Rose and Jack were getting chased by the other gas mask zombies. It was so intense.
Mummy!
I love the scene where Rose tries to get the Doctor to dance with the Glenn Miller's music playing.
He was a captain, he's been defrocked.
Yeah? Shame I missed that.
Actually, I quit. Nobody takes my frock.
It was a great moment, and like I say, it's so catchy, the music. When those three discovered the Chula ship, or the ambulance thing, with the nanogenes, and then the gas mask zombies, it was like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen? Well, when Jamie came and kept asking Nancy, "Are you my mummy?" it turns out she was.
Are you my mummy? Are you my mummy?
Yes. Yes, I am your mummy.
And I love the scene where the Doctor was like, "Give me a day like this, give me this one," and then he takes the gas mask off Jamie and he's alive and well.
Welcome back!
Then the Doctor threw the nanogenes at the other gas mask zombies like this, and they're alive and well too.
Everybody lives, Rose. Just this once! Everybody lives!
It was so funny when the old lady was like, "My legs grew back. When I came to the hospital, I only had one." But Dr. Constantine was like, "You might have miscounted." So yeah, that was brilliant. I'm so glad in this episode that everyone lives. When the bomb dropped and Jack caught it and stops that bomb, I love that piece of music. It's so sci-fi. I also love the way they designed the talking computer in Jack's plane. It's so 2005. Absolutely loved it. We also have a great ending, the Doctor and Rose dancing in the TARDIS with "In the Mood" song by Glenn Miller, and Jack went in before his plane get exploded by the bomb that he captured. And yeah, he joins the TARDIS. I like that when they have an additional companion. So yeah, it's a brilliant episode, and Are You My Mummy? I'm joking, I know who my mum is. I love to hear what you think of the episode. Let me know in the comments below, as always. Doctor Who Boomtown, the 11th episode of Series 1, is written by Russell T Davies and starring Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper and John Barrowman. As what I've heard, they were going to call this episode The Void, for the revealing of Rose had been bred by the Doctor for the perfect companion, but they dropped that idea due to commitments, so they called it Boomtown, and brought Enid Bradland back as Margaret Blaine, also known as Blomfell Fudge, because of her performance, and I can see why, because she's fantastic. So in the beginning we find out Margaret is becoming the mayor of Cardiff, and she strangled Mr. Cleves to death, and we found out that he was decapitated. The Doctor, Rose and Captain Jack arrived at Cardiff and meets up with Mickey because the TARDIS uses that area as a fuel. I enjoyed the moment when Rose and Mickey were hugging and Jack was like, "How come I don't get any of that?" And the Doctor was like, "Buy me a drink first." And Jack was like, "Such hard work." And the Doctor replied, "It's worth it." It's funny when Jack was like, "The old lady could be wondering, what can 4 people do in a small wooden box?" I liked how the Doctor explained why the TARDIS is disguised as a police box and why I wouldn't change it. It's because of the chameleon circuit, it's programmed to blend in. And like if it landed in the woods, it can disguise itself as a tree. Or if it lands in London 1960s, it can disguise itself as a police box. But the circuit was broken, but the Doctor wouldn't fix it because he likes it, and I think it's iconic. After Margaret has a meeting talking about the project, she has a conversation with Kathy in the toilets where Kathy mentions she's getting married and had a good accident by getting herself a baby.
Nice accident though.
Congratulations.
Thank you. How about you? You got any kids?
No.
And Margaret explained that she had lost her family and felt upset about it, and I think that's the time where we feel sorry for the Slitheen. Which, by the way, Slitheen is not the species, it's the family. The species are Raxacoricophalopatorians, and they're from the planet called Raxacoricophalopatorius. I enjoyed the banter with the Doctor, Rose, Jack and Mickey. I wish there's more of that.
And Brockovich falls, so I turn to him and I say,
I knew we should have turned left. That's my line!
Because the Doctor found out that Margaret is around and becoming the mayor of Cardiff, they had to get after her. I enjoyed the chase scene and, oh dear Mickey, when he ran with foot stuck in the bucket. I liked how the Doctor messes about with Margaret's teleport as she gave up.
I could do this all day.
So our plan is to use that extrapolator and to open the rift, destroy the Earth and get herself hover to elsewhere, as back on Raxacoricophalopatorius, the Slitheen were pleaded guilty and they've got a death sentence and they can't appeal. So all Margaret was trying to do is save her own life. She named the business Bly Droog, which is Welsh for bad wolf, which seems to be a message for the Doctor and Rose.
Everywhere we go, 2 words, following us. Bad wolf.
How can they be following us?
So after when Mickey was asking Rose for a pizza in the hotel, Mickey and Rose started to argue, as Mickey is having to put up with Rose being away for so long, which is understandable. It's handled really well, especially when he's like, "I'm not trying to ask you to leave, I just want you to come back for me." I enjoyed the moment when the Doctor and Margaret, or Blonde, is in the restaurant. They've got like an interesting moment there. You can see the Doctor does not miss a trick when Margaret decides to put poison dust in his drink, trying to shoot that stick from her finger, and bad breath. Oh no, he's not falling for it.
As a final resort, the excess poison can be exhaled through the lungs.
That's better.
The moment when there's like an earthquake and you can see the lightning beam coming from the TARDIS, and that's because the rift has opened. When Margaret with her Slitheen arm chokes on Rose, I don't know if it's just me, but you can feel it, that scene.
I thought you needed to blow up the nuclear power station. Failing that. If I were to be...
I think it's a nice ending after she stared at the heart of the TARDIS and becoming the egg, and the Doctor decides to drop her off to Raxacoricophalopatorius, to another family, in order to bring her up properly. It's exactly what we need. I really enjoyed that episode. Shame it's got a lot of hate, which I kind of realised, but I loved it. It's got great moments, an interesting story. What are your thoughts of this episode? Let me know in the comments down below, as always. Doctor Who Bad Wolf, the 12th episode of Series 1, is written by Russell T Davies and starring Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper and John Barrowman. So in this episode they created some kind of futuristic game shows. That idea of the weakest link had came from Russell T Davies' trip to New York City for the launch of the American version of Queer as Folk. So after the recap of the long game, where it's no longer called Satellite 5, it's now called the Game Station. So we have the Doctor in the Big Brother house with that Big Brother theme. Every time I hear that music, the Big Brother theme, it makes me think about, well, this episode.
You're in the house? Isn't that brilliant?
That's not fair. We've got eviction in 5 minutes.
And I think we audience, when we first watched it, we'd be like, hang on, I thought we were watching Doctor Who, not Big Brother. But then, of course, Christopher Eccleston gives it away. So there's that at least. I love the line after when Davina Droid tells the Doctor to go to the diary room, and she tells the Doctor, "You're on live on channel 44,000, please do not swear." And the Doctor was like, "You have got to be kidding."
You are live on channel 44,000. Please do not swear.
You have got to be kidding.
I loved it. And yeah, Davina Droid is voiced by Davina McCall, the presenter of Big Brother. Davina McCall later played herself in 2023 Christmas special, The Church on Ruby Road. Rose appears to be in the weakest link, waking up with no idea what has happened, and there's Roderick telling her it's just a transmat, don't worry, and do what the android says, which is Anne Robinson's robot.
Let's play the weakest link. Start the clock.
When I first saw that robot, I found it scary and be like, I do not want to meet that robot. Not that I was scared, I just find her scary. Especially when she fires out of her mouth.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
And if you lose, well, it's the end of you get blasted into atoms. Finch was first and Rose was like, I'm sorry, it's the game, that's how it works. And then she seemed to be embarrassed and was like, why is she making fuss about it? It's just a game. Until when she gets zapped. Rose was like, oh my god, this is sick. I'm not playing this is illegal. Which is the moment where Broth tries to make a run for it, but Android managed to zap him. So yeah, I would have hated that, me. As for Captain Jack, he appears in What Not to Wear, which suits John Barrowman's character.
Ladies, your viewing figures just went up.
We have the two robots, Trini and Susanna, voiced by Trini Woodall and Susanna Constantine, the hosts of What Not to Wear. In the scene when they used a sci-fi gun called Defabricator to dissolve his clothes away, and the shots of Captain Jack naked, I found out that they were going to show Jax's naked backside on screen, and they shot that scene. But the BBC's editorial policy made a decision and removed it as it wouldn't be appropriate for the show. After when Jack decides not to wear anything that those two robots suggested, including tennis clothes, instead of disintegrator beam, or transmat, which we later find out what it is, instead those two robots decide to have Jack's head removed and maybe replaced, and his appendages stuck somewhere else using saws and surgical devices, which sounds very brutal and graphical when you think about it. Even Jack was naked, he was still armed. He pulled his laser gun from his backside, I guess. Good place to hide it, but I doubt it would be comfortable. So yeah, Jack managed to blast their robotic heads off. I thought Jo Joyner, who played Linda with a Y, is pretty good. I liked her chemistry with Christopher Eccleston. And my mum was like, she fancies the Doctor. In the scene where Crosby was getting evicted from Big Brother house, Linda and Strood were upset about it and the Doctor was like, it's only a game show, she'll make a fortune on the outside, tell a story, release her records, all of that. She'd be laughing. So he's just like, why are these weirdos making fuss? I don't get it. Until when he sees Crosby getting zapped on telly, he's like, are you insane? How can you watch this stuff? As unlike the game shows in real life, you get chosen whenever you like it or not, instead of apply. It's so scary. After when the Doctor damaged the camera with his sonic screwdriver, he used to be evicted, but he didn't get zapped.
I knew it! You see, someone brought me into this game. If they wanted me dead, they could have transmatted me to a volcano.
I loved how he raised his arm for Linda. It shows you that he can get you out of anywhere alive, and now he's going to save your life. That's what the Doctor is. The moment the Doctor, Linda and Captain Jack criminally escaped, Jack does, well, what he normally does. He flirts at Linda.
Hey there.
Hello.
Captain Jack Harkness.
Linda Moss.
Nice to meet you, Linda Moss.
You mind flirting outside?
I was just saying hello.
It's funny when the scene randomly changed to Weakest Link when Agarax screams while he's being blasted. I was like, whoa, where did that come from?
I made this work.
Roderick seems to be quite a nice guy when he's helping Rose, until when him and Rose were the last ones, he's just becoming heartless to Rose, and he's like, thanks very much, I get to live, you don't, ha ha.
Oh my god, I've done it! You've lost!
So yeah, that's when we hate him. Rose has the right idea the way she argues with the android, telling her that game is illegal. When the Doctor, Linda and Jack came in while Rose was running towards them, the android blasted her. It was so emotional. While Captain Jack was raging at the floor manager, the Doctor paid no attention to anything when he got arrested. It's such a powerful scene, you could feel it. So after they knocked the security out, escaped from the cell, they went to floor 500 and questioned the staff. Martha Cope as the controller is so good. When I first saw that character, I find the design of controller so cool. When Jack revealed to us after the demonstration of Linda that it's a transmat, not a disintegrator beam, and Rose is still alive, I was like, oh, thank God for that. Unless you see the next time trailer of this episode from the previous episode, we don't know who's behind all this. Until when the controller gets exterminated, you could see the reflection of a Dalek's body and recognise the extermination, and the sound of the control room, or the heartbeat.
Daleks.
Alert! Alert! We are detected!
It's so cool to see so many Dalek saucers. I love the way the Doctor said no to the Daleks after telling them to obey or she will be exterminated. And the Doctor was like, I'm going to wipe out every last stinking Daleks out of the sky. And Rose, I'm coming to get you. I love that scene.
What is the meaning of this negative?
It means no.
But she will be destroyed!
Rose?
Yes, Doctor?
I'm coming to get you.
And the shot inside a spaceship with so many Daleks saying exterminated with the loads of flashing lights. That was absolutely cool. I loved it. Plus, I don't think classic series could have done it because of the budget. That scene made an awesome cliffhanger. Man, I get goosebumps watching this episode. Absolutely loved it. What are your thoughts of this episode? Write it down in the comments below. I'm excited to talk about the final episode of Series 1. Doctor Who, The Parting of the Ways, the 13th episode of Series 1, is written by Russell T Davies and starring Christopher Eccleston, Billy Piper and John Barrowman. So Russell T Davies wanted to have Captain Jack left behind because they wanted to explore the regeneration and Rose, and they think that Captain Jack would take up all the space. Christopher Eccleston's plan to leave the show was leaked early in BBC on 30th of March 2005 because we thought he was scared of being typecasted, and for me, I thought he hated Doctor Who. But until recently we found out why Chris left. It was because of his relationship between himself and Russell T Davies and the other crew went down. And turns out Christopher Eccleston actually loved playing the Doctor. Plus Chris described chronic eating disorders and depression and said that he had considered suicide, speaking about his poor mental health. He wrote that down as he was a lifelong body hater. I feel sorry for him. I'm happy he's back for audio series. It's nice to see him being the Doctor again, as I do miss him as the Doctor.
It'll be fantastic.
So the episode begun with TARDIS flying towards the Dalek spaceship, and I love that scene, especially the way Murray Gould did the music. It fits in perfectly. The Doctor gets a time warp comeback. When he looked at the Dalek insides after Jack blasted a Dalek, the TARDIS materialised around it, along with Rose. The design of Emperor Dalek is outstanding. I love the Emperor Dalek. I wish they had him back. That was the scene where we find out that the Daleks became half human, but they don't want to admit it as they hate their own existence.
Those words are blasphemy! Do not blaspheme! Do not blaspheme!
This two-parter story is where I first know the Daleks. When my mum mentioned it's got robots in it, when I was only 6 or 7, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see it then. When I saw the Daleks, I was like, wow, they are scary. These are the creatures you want to keep away from. I wasn't expecting to see something like this. When it takes the Doctor 3 days to build a delta wave, the Daleks will take over 20 minutes to arrive. So we have no idea what he's going to do about that. The Doctor understandably got Rose into the TARDIS and sent her back home because he cares for her and he wants her to be safe and have a good life.
Do that for me, Rose. Have a fantastic life.
But Rose was having none of it. This is why I loved Rose. She cares for the Doctor so much and she does anything to be with the Doctor and help him. When we find out that Emperor Dalek has got nothing to do with Bad Wolf, and we were like, are we gonna find out? I mean, what is Bad Wolf? Is it a wolf that's being naughty or something?
This is the truth of God.
Meanwhile, Rose sits in a cafe not eating chips, while Jackie and Mickey were discussing this new pizza shop just before when Rose makes a scene by kicking off. Makes me wanting pizza now. We find out that the writing of Bad Wolf is a message when Rose says there's nothing left of her. That's because, well, how can you have a normal life after seeing what's out there in time and space? And she's like, nope, I'm helping the Doctor, I'm not staying here letting him die. I love the action scenes, the scenes where people shooting at the Daleks but then get exterminated, especially with Murray Gold's music. I love that. For me, it's the most scariest Dalek story in New Who, in my opinion. I had hell of a goosebumps watching this as a kid. When Rose mentioned to Jackie that day Pete Tyler died, and they see a blonde girl held his hand, and that was actually Rose from the future, so Jackie had time to think things over. And because Mickey's car isn't strong enough to open the heart of the TARDIS to send Rose back, we see Jackie driving a big yellow truck. When I saw this, I was like, nice. In the scene where Linda dies was really sad. We're like, no. The Doctor promised her he'd get her out of there alive, but yeah, it's really devastating. While Jack is the last man standing, I love the scene where Mickey uses the yellow truck to open the heart of the TARDIS and all the vortex goes into Rose's eyes, and while the TARDIS is in flight and Jack faces 3 Daleks and the death by extermination, with Murray Gold's epic music.
Exterminate! I kind of figured that.
It's well done. It's like a horror sci-fi action movie. When the Doctor is about to wipe out the entire Dalek race, he stopped and was like, coward, any day. Before the Daleks finally get to exterminate the Doctor, Rose came back and turns out she's the Bad Wolf.
I am the Bad Wolf. I create myself.
If Time Lord did that, they'd become a god. When Rose wiped out the Daleks and Emperor Dalek, it turned them into dust. It was like Thanos when he snapped his fingers at the end of Avengers Infinity War. What caused the Doctor to regenerate was to absorb the time vortex from Rose and killed every cell of his body. The scene where Captain Jack is back to life and got up, have a look at the dust, and then he hears the TARDIS dematerialise and he was too late. So that was the last time you see him until he returns to the spin-off series Torchwood, as he's such a popular character. The Doctor's speech is nice. It's really sad to see Chris go.
Before I go, I just want to tell you, you were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
It's like a sad scene, but at the same time it's like, it's time's up, time to say goodbye. Before, when I found out the Doctor can regenerate, I did forget at that point he wasn't human. My mum said that he's going to change his head. I was like, wait, what? And yeah, that's when Christopher Eccleston regenerated to David Tennant. The 10th Doctor has got fantastic first words, and then credits roll just after when he smiled at Rose.
New teeth. That's weird. So where was I? Oh, that's right. Barcelona.
Apparently, Billy Piper wasn't there when David's scene was shot. He was talking to sticky tape indicating Billy's eye line, and then edit it into the broadcast version. So yeah, I love this episode because of the action, the casts, the music, and the Daleks are terrifying. Gives me the goosebumps, like in Bad Wolf. So, what are your thoughts of this episode? Drop it down in the comments below, and I'm happy to talk about the Christmas invasion. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.
Thank you.